Hi, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be talking about how online nursing school is going for me. So, recap, I'm in my third year of nursing. I only have one full year left, and that is mostly a placement, and then I'm out into the real world. So, to start it off, online school is trash. I don't like it. I really don't. I really thought I would like it because, doing things at your own convenience and stuff seemed so fitting. But it is so easy, especially in nursing school when you have so much to do and so much due, to fall behind. Let me give you an example. It is the middle of November. I just had a midterm this morning. I studied for it over a 3-day period of time, and I did the entire 8 weeks of the class in those 3 days because I was behind, because every other course needed my attention and every other assignment needed my attention. I mean, the midterm probably turned out really well. I feel confident about it, but at the same time, that's a lot of information to learn in 3 days. So, not very fun. I think the most difficult thing about it, and especially being in third year, is that we have lost a lot of clinical skills. So my last time in an actual hospital setting was last fall, so a year ago, and I did like a couple of needles, I did a couple of like medication administration, just basic things like that. This year we in lab were taught how to take out IVs, we were taught how to take out catheters and insert catheters. I don't know what we would have been allowed to do if we were in clinical and what we wouldn't have been allowed to do, but I know in fourth year when we do have our final placements, we are expected to do a lot of these skills. We have done trach care, we've done wound care, that kind of thing. So a lot of essential skills, because again, this is our last year, so this is our last year of labs and everything. So like all these skills have to be done and finished and polished by the time we get to next year. But we only have 2 hours a week of lab time to practice these skills, and even then we're just practicing the new skills that we've learned, because like 2 hours is a lot to learn how to do all of those skills, and then the following week we're tested on them. So it's pretty compressed, it's very tight timing, and they don't give us a lot of practice time. Like they told us that we would do extra lab time, and they just haven't been able to offer that besides 1 week. They allowed us to do that, but nobody came because they told us the day of. So I think that's what's most challenging, and it's kind of losing that, those like clinical interpersonal skills of, asking your patients questions and stuff. Like when I was in first year and even last year, like it's awkward asking patients a lot of questions, like when was your last bowel movement, what did it look like, did it smell funny, like, and I was getting really confident with that at the end of my semester. But going into clinical again, like, I mean, it's not hard to ask these questions, but it's awkward, and you kind of find ways to phrase it and you forget things. And so like going into practice next year, it's going to be so much more difficult to get the ball rolling again, because we'll be out for so long, like an entire year. So that's kind of upsetting, and it's also upsetting that my school in particular is not offering clinical placements for the third year students, whereas other schools, including RPN placement, or RPN schools, are offering placements. So it's a little bit discouraging. They said that they couldn't find placements for us, and even for fourth year it's going to be difficult to find placements because of COVID, and there are a lack of nurses that want to take on students right now, which I understand, but that's difficult. It is really, really difficult. We have, for my classes, they're all asynchronous, so you do them all on your own pace. Besides, I have one seminar and my lab that I mentioned, and my seminar is every other week, so it's not even that often, and it's only for 1 hour. I think what's difficult about that is falling behind, but it is very doable if you did set out a time to do them. I would say though that they take a lot longer on like their pre-recorded stuff. It takes a lot longer than in-person lectures because they actually fill up the time quite a bit more, because there's more content, there's no questions from other students, that kind of thing. So that's not really fun. For example, my lectures are only supposed to be 2 hours. I had a 2.5-hour lecture and it took me 4 hours to complete. So it takes quite a bit more time, and especially, you have other readings, other assignments, things like that to do, especially being in an upper year when it is so much more difficult and the content is a lot, more demanding. So that hasn't been fun either. I think my very least favorite part, though, you guys are gonna find this so funny, is that we're using an online clinical program. It takes so much time and it is so unnecessary. It's not helpful. It was helpful in the beginning to learn some interventions and to learn how to chart a little bit better. And I wish that they had used this program in the previous years, on top of having clinical time. But it's so inaccurate because you do not get any hands-on experience. You click a button saying palpate, and then it tells you what you found. There's not a mass, there's a mass, whatever. Or auscultate, normal breath sounds. Okay, but how am I gonna do that on an actual person when I just clicked a button and I'm not, you can't really pay attention to what they're doing because you're not doing it yourself, In addition, you ask a ton of health assessment questions. And by a ton, I mean I spend they say that they're supposed to take 90 minutes, but they take about 2 hours, 2.5 hours most of the time. And the patients just don't make sense half the time. I asked this one patient, he complained that he wasn't sleeping at night. I asked this one patient, what keeps you up at night? He said, no, I don't sweat at night. I asked another patient, do you brush your teeth? Or are you able to brush your own teeth? And she says, no digestive issues. So, it just doesn't make sense at all, and it's not helpful because although some patients might not listen or might not be able to give you the content that you need, they're not gonna blatantly say something that's completely different from what you're asking because it's a computer program, There's a little bit of a difference there, and I really don't like it. I do have a debrief, so I guess that's another in-class thing on Fridays for 2 hours, and we talk about the case study, and I actually have learned a lot from that because we do talk about the entire case study, the medications the patient's on, some interventions, things that are affecting them, and it is really useful, and it will be useful in the future because I actually learned quite a bit of content. But in that 2 hours, I'm supposed to be learning that content twice a week in 8 hours with actual patients, So I am losing a lot of content that I should know. Yeah. And then there's also a concern of who is gonna hire us when we're finished, because we don't have the same health skills that the year before us did, the kids that are a year older than us, because they did get to do third year, even though it got cut short at the end. But they were able to do their chronic and acute placement, which I was supposed to be doing too. And even for the fourth year options, a lot of them are chronic and acute placements that I already would have had, so I'm losing quite a bit of hours. Yeah, so it is pretty sad. And although you could defer your education, it's very difficult to get the ball rolling again. And then you're competing with all of the people that dropped out or deferred a year or deferred 2 years, and you're competing with them for clinical placements at the end too. So it's not really worth it. But yeah, that's how online school's going. It is super, super difficult. I don't know how it would be for first years. I've talked to a couple of second years, asked how they're doing, and they say that it is a lot more content than first year. And second year is harder than first year for sure, but it's a lot harder. Just there's a lot more work, and there's a lot more quizzes and little assignments to build up your grade, I guess. I don't know. And it's a lot more that's being asked of us than there has been in previous years. But yeah, so I just wanted to give that update. I know I haven't been on here for a while. As you can see, I have a totally different background. This is my student housing, I guess, when I'm away at school, so for 8 months of the year. I'm planning to make more videos very, very soon. It'll be up more consistently now. I had to take some time off. I just didn't know what to film and stuff. So if anybody has any idea of any content, any nursing related content that they'd like to hear about, please drop it below. I would love to explain anything or talk about anything, or any content in general. I'm literally free to all options. So yeah, it was nice talking to a camera again, and it'll be fun uploading this again. But yeah, I will see you in the next video in not very long from now. I promise. Okay, bye.